From its new characters and mechanics to its ties to the franchise's mobile spin-off, here's everything to know about Octopath Traveler 0. Octopath Traveler 0 is an adaptation of Octopath Traveler Champions of the Continent, a mobile game that released in Japan in 2020. While the original plan was to simply port the title over to console, the developers didn't want the experience to feel redundant for those that had already played the mobile game, and therefore decided to largely overhaul the experience. The biggest change is the removal of Champions of the Continent's gacha mechanics. In that free-to-play release, players would unlock additional characters at random through microtransactions. In 0, unlocking characters is tied to story progression. There have been additional changes to the story of the game, as well as brand new voice recordings from the cast, as the mobile game featured very limited voice acting.
Boy, you mean me?
However, some features of the mobile game are remaining, such as the number of characters in a player's party during battle, being 8 rather than 4 like in Octopaths 1 and 2. The game's title not only serves as a way for players to understand that this game precedes the other 2 entries in the series, but also reflects elements of the game's story, both visually, with the 0 styled as a ring, an important artifact within the game, and its protagonist needing to start over from scratch after a devastating event. Octopath Traveler 0's customizable protagonist, canonically known as 0, is from the village of Wishvale. Unlike in Octopaths 1 and 2, where the titular Octo referred to the game's 8 protagonists, each with a name starting with one of the letters in the word Octopath, such a distinction is reserved for Traveler 0's antagonists, which at the start of the game burn Wishvale to the ground. The game then follows the protagonist on a quest for both restoration and retribution, with 0 looking to not only rebuild Wishvale, but to also enact revenge on the game's 8 antagonists. As they do so, they will encounter numerous other characters that resist the power of those villains, recruiting them into their party to assist in their quest. Octopath Traveler 0's campaign is meaty, as according to the game's producer Hiroto Suzuki, the main story, excluding all side content, will take players roughly 100 hours to complete. As previously mentioned, one of 0's goals is to restore their hometown. As such, the game not only allows players to rebuild Wishvale, but gives them the chance to invite those from other locations they visit throughout the game to come and live in the newly rebuilt town. Specific structures the players build will yield certain resources to aid them in their journey. How expansive Wishvale can be rebuilt is actually determined by the hardware the game is running on. On PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X and S, players can erect 500 buildings. On PS4 and Nintendo Switch 2, 400 buildings. On the original Switch, only 250. Over the course of the game, players can recruit over 30 characters to join their party. These characters can aid in both combat and at the rebuilt Wishvale, where they can assist in maintaining the recovering town, with each character better suited for specific roles. On the retribution side of things, a lot of the battle mechanics found in Octopaths 1 and 2 are featured in 0 as well. The game features turn-based combat, and as previously stated, 8 characters can participate in a battle, 4 on the front line and 4 in the back. Frontline members attack while those on the backline can recover, and players can swap out members of each over the course of a combat interaction. During the battle, players will acquire boost points, which they can use to boost their attacks, with enemies vulnerable to specific weapons. New to the franchise are action skills. If a training ground is built back in Wishvale, party members can use it to not only learn new skills, but pass on learned skills to other characters. Also new are devastating ultimate techniques, each with 3 levels of effectiveness. 0 can learn new ultimate techniques throughout the game's story, while additional characters learn them via the training ground. Returning from the previous games in the franchise are path actions. These are skills utilized during character exchanges that can change how those interactions progress. Characters also have jobs that determine their gear and skills, with the protagonist able to be equipped with one of 8 jobs at the start of the game. Octopath Traveler 0 will be available on PC, PS4 and 5, Xbox Series X and S, and both original Nintendo Switch consoles and Switch 2. Notably, the game is not coming to previous-gen Xbox hardware. No matter which platform you purchase the game for, the standard edition of Octopath Traveler 0 is $50. The digital deluxe edition of the game, which retails for $60, comes with a digital art book and some additional in-game items including action skills, consumables, and decorations for Wishvale. A physical collector's edition retails for $230. It includes the deluxe edition of the game, a gaming mat with a map of the game's continent Ostera, a physical art book, a replica of the in-game Ring of the Flamebringer, a set of 8-sided dice, a CD with in-game music, and playing cards. Pre-ordering any version of the game will net purchasers additional in-game items to start out their journey. A free demo of Octopath Traveler 0 is also available now, showcasing the first few hours of the game, with progress transferable to the final release. And that's everything to know about Octopath Traveler 0. For more on the game, including our upcoming review, stay right here on GameSpot.